Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing tonight? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to Boulder Talk Radio. Of course, today is Sunday, the 23rd of August, 2020. Not much going on this weekend. I mean, if you happen to be from Kenosha, Wisconsin right now, that whole place is what you might call on fire to an extent. There was a shooting earlier today of an unarmed black man by an officer who literally just got back on duty after an investigation into a justified shooting. So that's happening. I don't know much of the other details. I literally just saw the video clip before going live tonight, so I just wanted to quickly touch upon that. As always, this shit's going to get wild. Get ready for who knows? Who knows what's going to be coming next at this point? I think it's going to be another protests are never going to end. Reform is never going to end. These things are never going to end. We are stuck in this perpetual loop, I think, until the day a COVID vaccine takes place. Or if you are a right-wing conspiracy theorist, the day George Soros's coffers run out of money from paying these people to go out and loot and break shit every night. That's, again, if you are a right-wing conspiracy theorist. I am not, although I've been called one this weekend after my chat with Drummer from the other day, where I mentioned a theory of mine surrounding the alt-right and how they like to pump money into live streamers in order to further propagate their message. It was funny being referred to as a left-wing Alex Jones for bringing up that mindset. Never mind the fact, I believe the first thing that I do want to talk about tonight, while we wait for people to come on in, while we wait for people to call into the show, and you got to call in through the StreamYard link, which is going to be in the video description as well in the chat. And that's going to be a good way to do it. My mods might show up and drop the Discord link, maybe towards the end, depending on when he gets here. I'm just saying. However, there was a fun little thing that did come out a couple days ago, right? A fun little article popping up on time.com, right? Time.com popped up titled How Far-Right Personalities and Conspiracy Theorists are cashing in on the online or the pandemic online. Now, the article, just from the headline, makes you question, oh, what's Alex Jones up to these days? How is he cashing in on this? Is he verbally assaulting teenagers at a park in Austin, Texas? Or is he actually out there attempting to, break the conditioning and expose the Illuminati and free us from the control of the lizard people? And again, George Soros, if you believe it. Alex Jones. Actually, no, this Time article has a lot to do with DLive, of all places. DLive is a streaming service I'm sure the people who listen to this program are fully aware of. It's a streaming service where you can go if you've been pretty much deplatformed and run off of every other platform that's out there. It is kind of the last vestibule for far right-wing online conspiracy theorists, as well as internet provocateurs and people who like to sniff the corn out of chicks' assholes. That's what that's what basically takes place there. And this article is interesting enough because it says here, on the evening of February 6th, as U.S. news networks reported the death of a doctor in Wuhan, China, who had warned of the deadly new virus, thousands of Americans were tuning in to a different kind of show. It's already ominous. It's already getting good right off that first paragraph. That's really actually only one sentence. I just want to point out that that's a little bit weird. Anyway, moving on. The good news is I heard that if you can actually get this if you're white, says Nick Fuentes, a far-right political commentator who told his viewers on America First on DLive, you're only susceptible to this if you're Asian. I think we'll be okay. Now, I've heard Fuentes say that in clips that have flown around on Twitter, as well as a lot of other things that Fuentes has said in thinly veiled attempts at jokes. I think people out there are going to try to argue, these are just jokes, man. They're just jokes. They don't mean nothing, man. They're just stupid things. Nick Fuentes, no, it's stupid. Nick Fuentes says them on purpose because Nick Fuentes knows how to piss people off, and Nick Fuentes knows that if he can frame these as a quote-unquote joke, it still allows him to absolutely dog whistle to the audience of groypers that he calls the American First people who, I don't know, does he call them the American First Army? What's his name for these chuds? We have no idea just yet. Okay, so this continues. Fuentes, 22, a prolific podcaster who's on this show, who on his show has compared the Holocaust to a cookie baking operation. And And I love, again, I just want to quickly point out on that front. I heard, and we're going to talk about something that was also released today that mentioned this. But I've heard people try to, again, argue, oh, that's just jokes, right? You know, I mean, like, that's just a joke, mate. He's not being real about it. You know what I mean? It's not like he's actually, you know, promoting the whole, you know, I know it's not, it's my best Australian is terrible. I'm very sorry. Him talking about that cookie comment was a way to disprove the Holocaust. It's a Holocaust denial comment. He's using this very weird comparison of a cookie baking operation in order to devalue what has been known for years, as a way to call into question what has been known for years. Again, as I said, it's a dog whistle operation. And a lot of people, I think anyone with a brain can figure that out. But if you live your life wrapped in, you know, the cloak of the KKK, you might find yourself trying to defend it, because that's how you make your money, which is just the entire point of this article here. Now, he also argued that the segregation of Black Americans was better for them, and that the First Amendment was not written for Muslims. And he's doing better than okay during the COVID-19 pandemic. He's part of a loose cohort of far-right provocateurs, white nationalists, and right-wing extremists who have built large engaged audiences on lesser-known platforms like DLive after being banned from mainstream sites for spreading hate speech and conspiracy theories. And obviously, they're referring to YouTube and pretty much YouTube, right? Now, we know how much money, according to this article, that apparently Nick Fuentes has made. I'm not too sure over the amount of time. Maybe this is just entirely over the amount of time. But according to the fact that with DLive, you can look at how much money someone has made and you can figure it out. Fuentes appears to have made over $140,000 off of just those DLive streams, which is an absolute dickload of money for a 22-year-old to make while he's still with his parents and goes on 12-hour live stream dates with the cat boy who is psychotic. Fuentes is an interesting character. He's a very interesting character. You know, and that's the thing is the people who donate the money here, again, it's all anonymous, right? It's all blockchain based stuff. So again, it goes back to my theory about far right-wing groups or far right-wing individuals who have money pumping cash into these people like Fuentes and others in order to be able to facilitate that type of rhetoric and therefore get it out to a younger demographic of people who are going to be inclined to be indoctrinated into that line of thinking, which would then make for lifelong soldiers, so to speak. And again, you might go, Matt, take off the tinfoil, Matt, take off the tinfoil. If you think about it, I'm not really wrong here. They always accuse George Soros of the exact same thing, right? They accuse George Soros literally of the exact same thing. But when you flip the script, they don't want to believe it, as I've been encountering these last couple days. Now, one of the reasons why this to me is fascinating has a lot to do with the fact that when you apply this to other people that use DLive, and I'm going to use Ethan Ralph of the Killstream specifically, because Ethan Ralph, in his own words, actually describes that that's entirely the point of DLive, that's how they're making their money right now, is off of these particular individuals. So earlier today, I was sent a small clip someone had gleaned from the Patreon podcast that Ethan Ralph puts up. Now, they sent me the whole thing, specifically this one clip, and I listened to it for the most part. At least the parts I wanted to listen to. It was boring for the rest of it. I mean, it's like an average episode of the Kill Stream. You want to kind of commit seppuku by the end of it. But I did think that the clip I was sent is interesting. And I want to play this for you now. And I just want to put this out there. This is commentary on this. This was sent to me by somebody else. So under fair use laws, I can review this. I can provide commentary, critique, criticism, and education. And if Ethan Ralph would be so inclined, or if he feels he's so inclined to attempt to flag this video and to flag my stream, I invite you to try, because I would love to go and argue this with you in a court of law. That would be funny. Not something else you want to have while you have marvelous Mr. Vickers on your ass and you realize that you're in a legal world of deep shit. So let's take a look here at just this clip. This is a small, less than 1 minute 20 seconds of this exchange, and I want you guys to listen to how Ethan describes Killstream and his existence, and you could almost say the importance of his existence on DLive. Again, listen to the ego, the attitude, and the fact that he thinks that no one is listening.
Of the income, doesn't it? It goes like, well, this is what they by average, this is what they'd earn or something like that.
No, they actually have a full Lino accounting on there. So it has the same thing that's on DLive itself. As it,
all your benches.
By the way, I'm 8th on the earnings list on DLive, so that would include me. The top 10.
Rookie numbers. Gotta step that up.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, I'm kind of like the emeritus D-Liver since I was the first out of our corner of the internet really ran to kind of go over here and start exploring. But yeah, so I'm number 8. Fuentes would be number 1. And I don't know. There'll be multiple people in between there. Probably some of the people that you know already. I bet Owen Benjamin's probably up there. And some of the people on our show, possibly Red Ice and people like that. The social disruption, I guarantee you they probably all 10 of those are people that you know from this corner of the internet. Because really nobody else makes any money on that website, Rand. Besides your odd game streamer here and there. Here and there they will, but yeah.
Yeah, you see that right there? Ethan completely acknowledges, he completely understands, he completely explains that because of him being the emeritus of those who would make the trip to DLive, which I don't know if that's an untrue statement. He was on DLive first after being booted from YouTube, and then he hated DLive because, I don't know, it was hard to work with or whatever. He hated it. He criticized them constantly. He attacked them openly when he moved over to Stream Me. And then through his actions and the people he brought with him to Stream Me didn't last much longer. So he's back to DLive, which is a Chinese-owned company. And even now, they will not attack the Chinese on the platform. If you ever want to find a way to screw with him, get him, super chat him $1 to talk about the Chinese, and he won't do it. He will run and hide, afraid of criticizing the corporate overlords who dictate his ability to make money, which is really funny to me if you think about it. But what's even funnier is that he acknowledges that he's number 8 on the list, and that's got to really tug on his short and curlies. You know, that's got to really get under his skin. Well, I was the first person to come over here to DLive, and now I'm only number 8 out of 10. My goodness. Fuentes making $140,000 since being on there. Ethan has made a fair amount, sure, but how much of that's going to go to legal fees for what's coming down the pipeline aimed at his head right now? It's pretty funny. It's pretty hysterical to me. Because yes, DLive is a place where a lot of these people do end up going to end up just being absolute right-wing chuckle fucks. Even Baked Alaska's on there. You know, he gets on there and he live streams from In and Out, going around talking about the tenets of Trump. He's milquetoast, to be fair. As far as that ideology goes, Baked Alaska has more or less just become cod in the past couple years. He's really fallen from grace, and this is where he's pushed off to now. And then you've got Andy Worski, right? Probably not even in the top 10. Again, running second fiddle to Ethan Ralph. I'm telling you, Andy, if you want to make more money than Ralph, have me on your show. You have my information. You clearly have my phone number. Unblock me from Twitter. Put on your big boy pants. Take off the number size 3 diapers. Tuck your penis. Feel big. I don't know. Get me on there. It'll be funny. I even talked to Drummer the other day. Come on. You're more of a man than Drummer, aren't you? You got a man bun. You live on your parents' couch. You hang out with a weird deformed cancer patient. Come on, Andy. Come on. Let's play. Anyway. I thought that was pretty funny. I just think it's hysterical that they realize that, and I think DLive realizes at this point that they are fundamentally pushing far right-wing extremism and agendas on their platform. And because I think they were doing that as a way to build up the numbers And then just recently they were bought out by BitTorrent. And once BitTorrent actually migrates them into BeLive, because give it like a few months and DLive itself probably will cease to exist. They will fold into BeLive. BitTorrent bought them, I believe, to implicate or to integrate the technology into BeLive, which is not, again, even the most remote, interesting of names. But I think that they're just going to fold DLive into it. And when it goes to BitTorrent, now you're dealing with a much larger parent company and the money's already been out there. So it's like they're going to start cracking down. And when they start cracking down, even on people like Nick Fuentes, it's going to end up having a very interesting ripple effect on the people that use that platform. And of course, the online backlash on places like Twitter, Gab, and Parler are going to be funny from a whole bunch of right-wing social justice warriors that are just because they don't realize that, companies don't want to be associated with their bullshit. And it only further pushes these people underground, which I don't know if that's the best place for them to be. I personally believe that having a lot of this out in the open allows for it to be publicly disseminated. But the further it goes underground, the more outlandish it becomes. So it should be interesting to see what happens with that. So why don't we take the first caller here? All right, we've got John. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, there was just your volume.
Yeah. I just had a couple questions.
Sure.
So, how's your new job doing or going?
Today was my first official day. So I'm working with the United States Census, and I'm going out to like a bunch of different places. And so I'm talking with people, asking them these questions, and I have, I went into MAGA country today, right? Like I wasn't expecting, because I live in a liberal state, and I was going out pretty far into the boonies. And I was, there's a lot of Trump paraphernalia out there. Like not even like the average stuff that you would see, like a whole bunch of new flyers and flags and banners I had never seen.
Nice.
So nice. It was definitely interesting. And, like I was laughing because it starts off easy enough, right? So like I have to go find these homes and they give me just lists. I have no names. I have no information. I just have an address. And then that's my destination. So imagine like you're playing like an open world game and it's just points of interest is really what it boils down to. So I go to one lady's house and I'm trying to find it and I can't see the address and I think it's the house and I see kids in the backyard and I'm getting ready to pull towards it as this young woman comes out of the house and I ask her for her assistance. And then I say like, hi, I'm with the U.S. Census. I'm here to get information. And she goes, oh yeah, hold on. Let me go get the owner. I'm like, oh, great. Thank you. I start pulling towards the house. The owner just flies open the door, points at me, and then just goes, get him. And like sends her 2 dogs after me.
Dude, people are fucked about the census workers.
I know. It's crazy. I had I was laughing because the dogs were cool. They didn't like come up. They didn't like attack my car, yeah. But like they were growling. And then I looked at the case notes and I saw like, this has apparently been a thing. But it's really funny to me, like how many people are absolutely like they are crazy about this kind of stuff,
Yeah, and, like if the census counts more people, then their state gets more money. They have more voting power, etc. But
trying to explain that to them ends up being like, I'm not too sure, like even the levels of which I'm supposed to explain it to them. Like it's meant to be, they want me to kind of be a salesman for the census. I have to kind of like pitch the values of it. Right. And that's fine. And that's cool. Like, I've had some people today, like one guy, I roll up to his house. I'm getting my gear, because I have to wear a mask. If I don't wear a mask, I get fired. And so if I'm pulling up in sunglasses and a mask on, in an unmarked vehicle, even though I have my badge and my documentation, this guy comes out and he's all like, what are you doing on my property? And I'm like, I'm with the census, sir. And he's all like, I show him the badge. He's like, I can make that in 2 minutes. Get the fuck out of here.
Did you mainly visit like white households?
Yeah. Out here, there's one non-white household was what I had today.
So and if white people react this way, then that kind of gives me hope for the white population. Maybe there's like an extra 20% we don't even know about. You know what I mean?
Not really. I don't really follow, to be honest with you. I think people are just there. In this state, in Washington, there's a lot of I guess you could say with conservative circles, there's a lot of anti-government
Right.
mistrust because they don't like Governor Inslee. So I saw a lot of anti-Governor Inslee signs, and it's funny too because it's like so it's not like people don't go back to these houses to these neighborhoods. So having these signs is funny because like no one sees them outside of maybe like 20 people.
Yeah.
But I mean they do it. And a lot of them. I went to driving by one guy's barn. It wasn't a house I was going to, but it was a house on the way, and there was this 20-foot wide Trump 2020 flag pinned to the
Wow.
side of this barn. Right. It was massive. I wanted to get a picture, but I didn't have time. And
Maybe like planes can see it.
if you were a low flying plane, you could probably see it. I mean, but the thing is, this road was off the beaten path by several other streets. So like again, the only people who are going to see it are maybe the census workers that are heading out that way, maybe delivery drivers and the neighbors. That's about it.
How many people are like? I'm not sure if you know this, but like, how many people are assigned to like every 1,000 people or?
I'm not too sure. I know I woke up this morning and I checked my phone and they go, you have 72 cases.
Okay.
And I'm like, God damn. Okay.
Did you get to all of them?
No, I did about 20, about 25. A lot of them were like, because keep in mind, the census is every 10 years. So the data that they're going off of essentially is just, 10-year-old data that they're looking to see updated. And so I went to like one guy's house and they were like, there was like another home assigned to it, but that wasn't there anymore. And, so then it's like ask those questions and get those answers. And, and people like, I mean, most people I think once we got into it, they were fine. One guy was really agitated, but he was cooperative. So that was pretty good. And it's a lot of just kind of figuring it out.
So like once the census is over, does everyone from the Census Bureau pretty much get like laid off or?
Yeah. Well, I'm a part-time person. So yeah, once it's done, then my job is done.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that point, then, 10 more years down the road, if I am in a position to where I feel I want to do it, or if I have to do it or whatever, I mean, the money's good. Can't complain. The money's really good.
Awesome.
And so that's a lot.
Say that you're would you say that you're having to like walk more than usual?
Yeah, the first set of houses I did. Yeah. Cause there was, they were like, so here's the crazy thing is as a census employee, I have like, if a sign says no trespassing, that literally doesn't mean anything because I have a legal obligation to go speak. Like every person has a legal obligation to fill out the census. Right.
Yeah.
So I have to still go ask and talk about it. Now it's always polite and everything else, but what people don't realize is the more you refuse, the more times people get sent out to you because the system just recycles it as far as I can tell and just sends another person out there. And so it's really like, and then people get more agitated. I understand that, but it's like, you give me, 5-10 minutes of your time and it's done. And then it's over with. And then no one's going to come back, but people don't really realize that. And that's okay. That's okay. I think, I found out that today being polite about it, saying, please, thank you, ma'am, sir, people are more susceptible to being helpful.
Of course.
So
yeah, I just started this new job and I'm having to like walk a lot more, just be on my feet a lot more than my last one. And I've run into a lot of problems with like chafing. Like I know that you're not the skinniest guy in the world. Not saying that you're morbidly obese, but like I don't know, I'm really asking for advice here. Like, what do I do?
Well, I used to work at a drive-in and I would be on my feet from about 6:30 until about 4:30 in the morning most nights. So during the summer when it was hot in San Diego, chafing has never been an issue for me. Never. I've never had I mean, it's not to say that it's never happened because that's not true. It has happened, but it's never been an issue. That's
bigger pants or something.
I wear, not to get too personal, I wear boxer briefs,
Yeah, so
keep everything nice and tight and snug. If you have an issue with it, the best thing you could do would just be take some baby powder right down there before you get out,
I've heard that.
Just do that. Or, I mean, another thing would be like, if you're stopping off to go to the bathroom somewhere, like dab it with like, give it a second to dry, air it out in a stall. I mean, that's an odd thing to say, but it's true. It's like, you got to just take the moisture out. That's what causes the chafing.
I'll take any advice right now, man.
Yeah, no, I've done a lot of jobs where I have to go walking around, and I did one where I was hired by a realtor, to like walk a neighborhood and like put up flyers, you know? And I did that for a little bit, and it was fun because, you know, it was San Diego. It was nice. It was beautiful summer. But by like the afternoon time, like, fuck, I was dying.
Yeah, it gets really hot, especially nowadays.
Yeah. And so I just end up like, you just drink a lot of water. And even they said, like, in my training for this thing, they're like, if it gets hot, step in the shade, you know, drink water. So I had a bunch of water on me today, and I still did a bunch of walking to different locations that were close by and up driveways. I didn't want to like impede on people's property too much, because I kind of, you know, I don't want to, like, if I can not park in their driveway and then walk in, I kind of feel like it's a bit better of an approach, you know? I don't know. Maybe that's how I view it, but yeah, I mean, it's really, for all that, just baby powder.
Yeah. I mean, like, you get out like on the street and you walk up to their driveway because like people can get spooked.
Yeah, well, this isn't like a normal neighborhood. I'm talking like these are some long fucking driveways.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This is like, I mean, I encountered one where I had to like walk past a fence that was like it was like a gated entrance, but there was like no fence. It was just a gate and like a keypad, but no number to call anybody. But I could just park right there and then walk around it. So I walked around it, and then I was trying to like walk further back into this neighborhood, because this whole neighborhood, this cluster of houses, none of them had filed. So I was trying to go and like get it all taken care of. And like one guy had another gate with a locked padlock entry. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't do anything about this. So I just, you know, marked it as can't access it, and I left. But that ends up being
these like new houses, or
no, these have been there for a while. Like one of them, this was crazy. I was trying to find this one location today, and I Google it, and I'm driving up and down the street, and I can't find I see a mailbox, but there's no address. I can't find like nothing, but I see this gate, and beyond the gate is just, you can tell it was a driveway, like this long windy driveway that goes up a hill, and it's so overgrown. It's nothing but tall grass, but you can still see the outline of the road. And then I Googled the address, and I looked at the address, and I could see like the Redfin satellite imagery of the house or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like a nice looking place, but like there was no way for me to, there was no way for me to access the property. And by looking at the driveway, I'm like, yeah, clearly this is vacant. You know, like clearly this is not a livable residence at this point anymore, unless there's like someone that's just, you know, I kind of wonder if I'm going to come across a property and I'm going to find like a deceased individual
like
or something.
Incest family.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not in Virginia. You know, I'm not in Richmond. I'm nowhere near Ralph. I'm good. Yeah, I'm nowhere near that. I'm fine. It's all good. But yeah, it's an interesting job. I do enjoy it. A lot of good work for that. So, yeah.
Speaking of Ralph, did you get a chance to listen to his interview with that Greg Johnson?
No, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, I think it happened today or yesterday or something, but I don't know. I haven't got a chance to listen to it. I just heard like a quick summary, and it was just like pretty much what you mentioned before. Just like the dude was asking him all these retarded questions, like, how do you deal with the haters so well, and which is like kind of a stupid ass question to ask Ralph.
Yeah, how do you hate? Like, how do you handle haters, Ralph? Well, I send revenge porn.
Oh Jesus.
That's not really how it works. You have to, Ralph doesn't handle any
like
haters.
all these really softball questions. Nothing really interesting got asked or answered. Nothing about the sex tape. It's like this interview happened like today or yesterday, and I just don't see how.
I talked to Drummer 2 days ago, and he still brought up the flagging. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to bring up shit. People are still going to, like, he's never going to get away from, I guarantee you he had the, because I've done some interviews where they've asked me, is there anything you don't want to talk about? Right. As an act of courtesy.
I'm sure you hold it. I'm sure you had a whole list.
No,
I mean, Ralph did.
Oh, I'm sure Ralph did. Yeah. I'm kind of open like that. I'm like, well, fuck it. Like, what do you want to know? And, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a big thing, because I think that if it was all softball questions, they're not going to go and ask about the legalities of releasing, a poop sniffer video. They're just not going to talk about that. They're just, cause that would then make him angry, and that would get him to then turn his audience on them. It's one of the reasons why in that Times article, I actually have a feeling the reason why Ralph wasn't specifically mentioned was because of the Wall Street Journal article, where when that came out and he was kicked off of YouTube, his audience went after that journalist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Hardcore, dude. They doxed her and everything.
I remember when that Wall Street Journal article came out, I was actually a listener to Ralph's show, and I remember like everyone from his audience, including me, did this like whole Twitter campaign where it's like Wall Street Journal hates kids and all that.
Well, I believe it was Wall Street Journal kills kids, like the WSJ kills kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Never mind, this organization rakes in like several $100 million a year in donations. So, you know, it was a bit of hyperbole with that, but I understand the sentiment. What was funny was I was actually scheduled to do my own charity stream for this local nonprofit like the next week. And I was like, as soon as I heard about the Wall Street Journal thing, I went like, oh, fuck. My girlfriend's like, what? And I'm all like, I'm going to get like, if I'm doing this thing, I've already scheduled it. Shit. Like they're going to sit there and think I'm either capitalizing it or I had something to do with it or some shit. I'm like, this is a small thing. But on the good side, I did the charity stream and it did get a lot of shit. It got a lot of hate watchers and whatnot. But one dude donated $200 purely out of spite. He was like, here's $200. This is a spite donation. Fuck the Wall Street Journal. And he gave it, and the thing is, this organization that I was raising money for was raising a reader. It's a local nonprofit for getting books to children. I'm all like, look, dude, I understand you're mad at the St. Jude thing. Fine, I get that. But this is also an equally good investment, in my opinion, because, it's helping kids get books. Right now, I know the organization's having a bit of trouble due to the current COVID situation. So it's like anything helps out, and kids need to learn to read.
Did you do anything like interesting for the actual content of the stream? Like, did you do some funny antics or something like that? Because I remember the heel stream was probably like the peak of Ralph's show.
I would,
Hyde was on there. A lot of different people.
Yeah, I just went to people who would still talk to me.
Yeah,
like at the time, and I had Sargon come on. And then I forget who, I think Sargon was on, and then like Andy, this is really funny. If you guys want, this is really funny because this is absolutely true. Andy Worski wanted on. When Sargon was on, Andy Worski was hitting me up. He wanted on. I think him and Geek. And I at the time I was like, well, against my better judgment, I'll let him on.
Yeah.
And so because I wasn't trying. Yeah, so it did bring in a bit. And then Andy, guess what though? Andy was like, he was like a kitty cat the entire time. Because he's not a confrontational guy, even though he tries to be. Yeah. And so he came on and it was really funny. Yeah, it was really funny because it's like, they were like trying to, we're going to go get Sargon. And then like they come on in and then they're like, hey, what's up? How you doing?
I really hope that this like, I don't know, like feud or whatever you want to call it between you and Andy, like really, really kind of goes somewhere, because like you've really like, at least on the internet, grown like a real pair of nuts as far as dealing with these fuckers, and I just want to see you two on like a live call.
I keep telling him to call my cell phone. He's got the number. He's got the number. He won't do it. He won't do it until it provides some kind of benefit for him.
I mean, it already would.
I'm not. Well, I don't.
If it's on his show, like would you mind it being on his show? Of course.
No, I'd go on. I'd absolutely go on.
Yeah, he could
I have no problem with that.
3 days before, get a bunch of viewers, bunch of pay pigs.
He'd get a lot of money out of it. But the thing is, though, at the same time, you know why they don't want to? Because they know that literally everything that they would have to throw against me would not stick.
It's already been thrown too.
It's been thrown.
They've already played out all the cards.
Yeah, they've got nothing. There's no gotcha. There's nothing they could do, and it would literally be just me, like laughing at them for however long I would be on there. Like it would just be that I would have like a whole list of nicknames for Kyler. I know people call him like AIDS Moby, right? I'm calling him like mini Billy Corgan.
Oh no.
Like I would just have a list of nicknames. And then like instead of Andy like Worski, call him like Andy low T. I came up with one. It was really bad, like Andy low T Worski. It has a ring, but I can't make it stick.
Yeah. It's kind of like low IQ ski.
Yeah, low IQ ski. Coke ski works out. Cope ski's pretty funny.
Coke ski, yeah. There's
a lot of funny elements to that, but trying to find a good. I'd have to work on it. I'd have to work on my insult comedy game.
Or I could. Sure there's plenty of ideas on his thread. kiwi farm.
Yeah, I was just yes, I would. I did my research on you by spending the last couple hours just reading into your kiwi farms page.
Like before that interview, if I were to do it, I would just take all the highlights from his post, just go from highlight to highlight, and just keep that all like right there. Which I'm sure like a lot of this stuff is common knowledge, but they might have a few gotchas in there. Like, hey, how
Well,
was Pinecone Girl? Did she have a double jointed pussy? Like, why'd you even do that?
well, yeah, I would actually want to know more about the gator incident with Pinecone Girl than Andy. Like we know about Andy and Pinecone Girl, but I want to.
I've heard that Coach Red Pill did a stream with her, but I can't find it on the internet at all.
I have no idea. I guess if anything, ask Wild Smile. He would probably know about it because I know him and Coach are tight.
On tonight. I'm probably gonna ask him.
Yeah, because I know I've talked to him a little bit recently, which is weird. This whole situation is weird because I'm talking to people that like 2 years ago I would have never spoken with. And it's cordial. It's cordial stuff. I mean, maybe it's, enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of thing.
Like even when someone's antagonistic against you, you still keep some level of, cordiality and human.
Well, you have to. You have to in this day and age. I don't want this. The thing is like, look, I don't want this particular live stream to turn into a fucking gotcha shit. I don't want it to turn into like, let's destroy lives. I don't want it to do nothing like that. Like I have fun laughing at Ralph because he's fucking up and it's funny.
And he fucked you over in a really,
Well, he fucked me over. He lied about me, attempted to destroy my life, allowed my family to be harassed. Yeah, I've got a little bit of baggage on that one. But then again, but then again, what's really funny about that is he doesn't like, he gets really mad at me because I criticized Nora. Like that's a sore spot for him. That's one of the reasons why he really doesn't like me is because I criticized Nora.
Yeah.
And so like that's the thing. Like he doesn't care what anyone says about Faith. We all know that. He doesn't give a shit when anyone says about Faith. Now he's owned by her.
As far as me, I mean, like Ralph's never fucked me over, but even then, I'm kind of like 95% to my limit on Ralph shit right now because it went from like 15%, then the sex tape released, and it was like, okay, here's another 80%. I'm like, okay, I don't see how he could fuck up this much worse.
Well, give him time.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it literally is just give him time because that's what he does. That's what all these people do. Like someone had said, I think on the comment section of my chat with Drummer, and they're like, oh, he's just a lolcow waiting to happen.
Oh, Drummer's the total spurg. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like I guess he posted a video today of our conversation and like it
was like 3 hours long. I didn't even fucking watch it. I'm like, what the 3 hours?
I didn't watch it, but I was reading the comment section. I just wanted to see what people were saying. Yeah. And like I'm laughing because like it's like it is like I think John here says in the chat, he says John Scott says even Drummer's bass are like 50-50 split between thinking he lost. Like it's funny because the people that were commenting about saying that Drummer won are only doing that based upon their, how they feel about him and how they feel about me.
Like he went in all fucking, all like macho and shit, and then by the end of it, he just completely like dominated him and castrated him to where like he had nothing but, oh, let's agree to disagree.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when he's like, I really wonder where all the money comes from. Let me lay out this theory that I spent a little bit of time working on. Oh my God, I'm so sleepy. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that theory. Yeah, really. Like
what the like you want to talk about this and I give you an actual sound theory, and then you're just like, I'm bored. Like, is it like okay? What the fuck?
Well, like about that theory, I was gonna ask you. So you'd probably say the same thing happens on the left, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean the left gets accused of it all the time. Okay, like all the time the left gets accused of it, and right. It always is George Soros. Like literally anything is just George Soros related.
George Soros or like China. I mean George Soros is kind of like a meme now, especially.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's a meme that's been picked up by like Laura Ingraham. It's been picked up.
Anyone that says it now is just a Fed or,
Yeah. And then again, isn't that the other side of that as well? It's like, oh, someone's a Fed, like, isn't that the running gag is that Milo Yiannopoulos is a Fed?
Well, it's like anyone that, I mean, like a Nick Fuentes. I mean, Ralph couldn't be a Fed because he's too much of a fuck up. But like
Actually, no,
anyone that
because he's a
goes,
fuck up, he would be perfect as a
yeah, like
as a low key snitch.
yeah, it's like Nick Fuentes, Milo, probably even Owen Benjamin. It's like the more off the wall shit they say to try to like inspire violence. It's like that meme where he's like, uh, there's like a dude in like an FBI agent in like a neo-Nazi uniform. And he's like posting on a forum. He's like, "Hey guys, you want to get together, get some baseball bats, and go beat up a black family?" And like,
Jesus.
just to like, when
Yeah.
the other people say, "Yeah, let's do it," then so that he can arrest them. It's like anyone that's really extreme and doesn't like try to, put some better optics on it. It's just like, yeah, they're probably a federal agent trying to make the right look worse.
Well, I mean, my personal take on it is the right doesn't have any issue with making things look worse.
Yeah.
And the left is not any better, to be honest. It's a lot of that. Like, that's what I hate about being where I'm at politically,
Well,
because it just gets
there's like,
frustrating.
the soft left and the hard left and the soft right and the hard right. Like the both sides, not to be like a horseshoe theory person, but it is kind of true. Like the extremes on both sides really kind of fuck over the middle.
So Gunt Memes here says it's not a gag. Milo is actually a Fed.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
he has like a hard drive on everyone apparently.
Well,
Like, he said
but that
this.
doesn't see. But okay, so like I saw that clip about the hard drive thing, and to be honest with you, and this is what I find to be really, really, really funny. We know that Ralph does the exact same thing to everybody. We know this. So it's like that whole Rand, the miscarriage situation, or there was I don't know what exactly. Yeah, it was a miscarriage, or his daughter died or something. It's terrible. It's tragic. I mean, as much as I think Rand is an abhorrent racist, I have humanity and compassion on that front. And that's terrible, tragic. But then holding that over his head of him crying over like the death of this of a child is one of the scummiest things you could do as a person. It's legitimately that's some career-ending shit right there. But for that audience, that's like alpha Chad maneuvering, right? It's like, oh, I own you, right?
I think
So
very, very, very few people took it as that.
I think that's the way he was trying to portray it.
Yeah, just like with a sex tape, And oh yeah, I'm a Chad banging an 18-year-old pussy.
Yeah.
He just tries to portray any of his fuck ups except for like the pill stream where he's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I'm gonna stop drinking for a while, and then he just went back into drinking. Like every other fuck up of his, he just tries to play it off like he's drunk.
Yeah, even the sex tape thing, he tried coming back and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna drink less. I'm gonna drink less. I'm gonna drink less."
Shit.
And then you watch him drink that soda, and you're like, "Dude, we know that that's not soda, because you're not drinking it like you drink a soda.
Right?
You're sipping it. You're sipping it. You don't sip soda like that. It doesn't. It's not. He
was visibly fucked up the night of the head shave.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he's definitely. I mean, you can tell that there's a lot going on with him.
You can pretty much say that for every show he does now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like why him going on camera might not be the best move, but then again, like I'm not on camera either, so I can't really criticize that shit. I just don't want to be. There's the difference. I'd rather just talk. It just saves me a lot of time. But
hey, I just have one more question.
Yeah. Because I know I got one person waiting there. Anthony, I see you, buddy. We'll get you in here in a second.
Cool. What do you think of Robert Pattinson as Batman?
Oh, dude, that was a good fucking trailer yesterday. That was a good trailer.
I think he has a lot of potential. Like he's not a bad actor.
No, he's a good actor, and I like that it's year 2 Batman, so it's not like Christian Bale and Batman Begins. Right. Although all things considered, The Dark Knight was still like year 1, year 2 Batman.
Yeah, like he started out,
So I don't know, but I like that he's like that. There's mistrust of the Bat, and that he doesn't have a relationship with Gordon yet. And that this is focusing more on him being the world's greatest detective, which I can't wait for.
Yeah, that's really a good side of Batman.
Yeah, that's the side everyone loves, is the detective shit. And I think like the action looked pretty good, like when he beat the shit out of that guy. That was great. And
what do you think of the director who's making it?
I fucking love Matt Reeves. He made one of my all-time favorite movies, which is Cloverfield.
Oh, Cloverfield. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. I saw that movie. People don't know this. I talk about this a lot, like how much I love Cloverfield. This is true. So even though we had it at my theater, the drive-in I worked at, when it opened, I went to go see it that morning in theaters. I took my friend. I paid for my friend. I went to work that night. I watched it 2 more times that night. The next day, one of my coworkers took his kid, and I took my younger brother. We all went to go see it again. And then my coworker and I went back to work that night. We watched it 2 more times that night. And we watched that movie a bunch over the span of the next few weeks. I saw it 3 times in theaters, and every time I took somebody new and I paid for them. Even the last time I did it, it was the last weekend Cloverfield was in theaters, and I organized a Cloverfield screening group with like 15 of my friends. I even took my mom. I took my mom to go see it. You know, I'm like, you gotta like, this movie's fucking great. You know, I mean, I'm such a Cloverfield nut job that I just
like the first Cloverfield was really cool, but then they made all these like weird Cloverfield titled movies that had nothing to do with it.
I mean, like 10 Cloverfield Lane, I thought was perfect. I loved it because it was just, it was such a
It was
good,
very mysterious.
it was mysterious. The Cloverfield Paradox, I enjoyed it for what it was, even though like I knew it felt just like I love seeing Clovey again. I just really love seeing the monster. And that was cool. And I like the story, but
it feels like they added it on in post.
they did.
You know?
Oh, they
like,
did. Even with 10 Cloverfield Lane, it was a movie called Valencia was what it was shot as.
Right. Yeah.
I actually
those movies could have stood alone by themselves.
Sure, they should have, but it's like the Cloverfield Paradox would have been better as like a sci-fi movie. You know, it would have been like a DTV film or you know, direct to video. And I actually was it Paramount sent me a copy of Cloverfield Paradox to review last year. And so on Blu-ray when they released it. So I got a copy of it and I was watching the special features, and the special features literally just were like them talking about this movie, but this was before the Cloverfield interjection, right? So they had nothing in there about Cloverfield lore. It was just the standard boilerplate. Oh, I'm so happy to be working on this movie, yada, yada, yada. It was bad. It was so bad. But yeah, well, real quick, I'm going to let you go for this, but JJ did announce that we are going to be getting an actual sequel to Cloverfield.
Oh, wow.
Just
cool.
no idea when.
Yeah. That's how it is these days.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But all right, man. Hey, thanks for coming on in. We had a long conversation. I appreciate you coming on in, John.
No problem, Matt.
And we'll talk again soon. All right, man?
All right, thanks.
All right, have a good one. All right. Anthony, you've been waiting a long time.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm tired today, Anthony. I had a long day.
Me too. I had a long day, too. I couldn't go to sleep for the last 2 nights till 4 a.m.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I went to bed way before that, but I was out doing my new job, so that ended up taking up my whole day.
I was binge watching TV and everything. OMG, that DC fandom was amazing.
I regret live streaming the whole thing. Did you watch the live streams I did yesterday?
I watched it.
I was so done by the end. I was just done. I was like, by that, I loved the Batman trailer, but like I was so tired.
Too. That Nevada song.
Yeah. I like the Snyder Cut stuff. I like the Black Adam stuff. But I shouldn't have streamed it. I feel like I just wasted most of the day streaming it because Warner Brothers copyright claimed everything. So
you do a good job, Matt, wherever you do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I had fun. It was fun. I was done by the end because I'd been streaming from 10 in the morning until roughly like 6. So it's like an 8-hour stream is a long time to be sitting in front of a camera. I can't do the lights. It fucks me up. I get so drained.
I can't do a live YouTube video because I'm busy with my mom and my stepdad.
Well, it's good. That's why so many people are live. It's good to watch. So that's always good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, all right, man.
I'm watching one all up right now.
Nice.
And I just watched Thunderball today.
Which Thunderball? The Bond?
James Bond. Yeah, I watched it. Uncle Mike gave me a tape of it.
Oh, you watched it on VHS?
Yes.
Wow, that's old school.
It was awesome. And I just shout you out on my latest YouTube review of Man on the Moon.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll have to check that one out. But all right, man, I'm gonna let you go. Get some more people on here because I appreciate you calling in, Anthony, as usual. Have yourself
you too, and 9 more days till my birthday.
Okay, well, yeah, happy early birthday, but we'll definitely talk before then. I know that.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye, Anthony. Good guy. I like Anthony quite a bit. He's a fun dude. All right, Shadow Nova, what's going on, man?
Hey, Matt.
What's?
I also just want to talk about the fandom. I just wanted to know what was your favorite moment?
The Snyder Cut trailer was my favorite because like I was pissed off that it leaked early, and I was really surprised that it leaked early. So I opted to not watch it on Twitter. I was doing my stream, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this, and then I'll wait until 2:00 or 2:30 when the panel begins, and then I'll watch it live like everybody else. And it was really good.
I wasn't really too much of a fan of it, to be honest. I just thought it was like, I mean, it looked good, but I feel like I have to see more.
Well, it was a teaser.
Yeah.
You know, that's all it was. Is it was a teaser for the mini series, and it was a lot of stuff we've seen similar takes of, like, you know, so we know kind of there was enough that was new to establish that it was different, but there was also enough there to let you know that, you know, to show, so to still have there be some familiarity with what we saw before. And I think that was done on purpose, so people don't think that it's like Justice League 2, that they think that they realize that this is like the director's cut of the movie, which, based upon showing us Darkseid and showing us Desaad and the Nightmare world and all the other stuff, you know, like Black Suit Superman, you're like, holy shit, there's a lot more here.
Yeah.
So that's really about it. That's really about where it stands on that. But I mean, it's something that you wait for a full trailer, which should probably come before the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, like, personally for me, it was like all the Suicide Squad movie, the James Gunn stuff. That was probably like my top favorite until the Batman, and that kind of like blew it all the previous things out of the water for me.
Yeah, Suicide Squad looked good. I really didn't like the panel because I felt like it was too much. You know, they were trying to be like, there was like 20 people in it, so it was just way too many people talking.
Oh, yeah.
And then but the trailer, what they showed was pretty cool. The Wonder Woman stuff I thought was pretty good. The trailer, although the trailer you could tell was their second trailer that was supposed to come out like in March, that they never released. And so, because it still had unfinished CGI in the new trailer, even though the movie was supposed to be out 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a little things you see here and there, little moments you see, but ultimately it was a worthwhile endeavor. I'm glad it was just the one day. I know there's another one next month. I'll watch it, but I'm not going to stream it.
Oh yeah. Oh, did you also hear about the Static Shock movie that's in development?
No, someone is mentioning that to me yesterday about Static Shock, but I don't know if it's confirmed or not.
Well, yeah, I heard it, but I hope it's good.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think at this point anything is possible.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, Reginald Hudlin says Static Shock movies in development at DC Fandom. Okay. So they did say it's in development, but it's that can mean anything. You know, I think with the way AT&T is right now and HBO Max and them trying to push all of that, I think that's what we're gonna see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, man. I'll let you go.
Okay.
So I can get one or two more in before I wrap this thing up, but I appreciate you coming on in.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, dude. Have yourself a great day.
You too.
Bye. All right. And I noticed Tate wasn't here, and now Tate's gone. So if you want to come back in, Tate, it's there. The link is in the chat. If anyone wants to dive on in, I'll take one more call, and then I'm going to keep this thing at about an hour. I still have a lot more work to do. Unfortunately, tonight I have to get prepped up, do some more recording this evening, so I can't spend all night on here. But I wanted to just take some calls and see how you guys are doing. So let's see. Okay. All right. So talking with John about the Coach Red Pill stream with Pinecone Girl, that was linked in my Discord. Thank you very much for linking that. All right. Hey, what's going on, Biohazard Fallout? How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, man? Yeah, that show last time was good. I was a little drunk because I was out drinking for my birthday that night, so I hope I was not too incoherent, right? So
no, you're fine.
So I had a question.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm fine today. I'm sober today. So
there you go. There you go.
Off the bottle. So. And it has to do with current monetization on YouTube and how that's working, because I know that they've went through a lot of like radical changes throughout the last, I don't know, like what would you say, like 4 years or so?
Yeah, I'd say 3.5 definitely, but yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and I thought what a lot of it is. I don't think YouTube's like this left-leaning monster or anything like that. I think some people do. They think, oh, they don't allow conservative voices. But what I think it is that advertisers that are spending millions of dollars on these ad campaigns with YouTube and Google don't want their ads placed on like political shit, right? Like, because it's divisive. It creates a wedge between people that for instance, because I remember people what people were doing was like let's say there was like a Hitler speech or something like that, and right before the Hitler speech they'd play an ad and it'd be like Walmart, right? And people are like, oh, Walmart supports Hitler or something like that, which is nonsense, because I don't think anyone thought that. It was just people that wanted to, I don't know, like throw conservatism under the bus and whatnot, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that. I think people are always trying to sow division one way or the other, depending on where their ideologies lay. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people just, especially in the age of the internet, you don't know if someone's being sincere or not. It's very difficult to tell.
Yeah. It's not like you can convey a point with text very easily. I mean, you can, but it's difficult. It's a lot harder than in person.
Oh yeah, so, I made a joke the other day about Laura Loomer, and I was toying with Laura Loomer won her the primary right down in Florida.
I heard about that.
And so I said, I said Laura Loomer is what happens when cousins marry.
Oh Jesus!
And someone's all like, and I was like, do I put an emoji here? Do I put like a /S for sarcasm? Do I leave it and let it sit and let people react to it? So all of these things you have to take into account when you don't want to be canceled for telling a stupid joke. And then I just said, I'm going to let it ride. And go from there. And then, oh my God, so many of her like fans were like, how dare you? Someone's like, how dare you say an Ashkenazi Jew is inbred? And I'm
wow.
For one, I didn't mention anything about, the joke. Okay, so what I said was a meme. There's do you know who Eddie Izzard is, the comedian Eddie Izzard?
I'm not quite familiar, but go ahead.
He's a British comedian. 20 years ago, he put out a comedy special called Dress to Kill. It's one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever heard in my entire life. He's in full drag. Back then it was transvestite.
Yeah, that's risque. Yeah.
It was so back then he was like, I'm an executive transvestite, running, jumping, climbing trees, putting on makeup, putting up that. That's where it is. It's one of the funniest fucking comedy specials I've ever heard in my life. But he makes a joke about British aristocracy and like how just completely detached they are from modern man. And like, it's like, oh, the prince might go like, oh, you're a plumber. What is that's like, what is that? And then the punchline is, and this is what happens when cousins marry. So it's just it's just low IQ people, like idiotic people. And that's the joke. But like, again, I can't fucking explain that in a tweet. And so people were just like trying to accuse me of being anti-Semitic. And I'm like, it was a dumb joke. At no point am I being anti-Semitic. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Then I thought to myself, wait, aren't the Ashkenazis the ones that like lived in a cave for a long time? Is that the ones that hid from the Nazis in a cave?
I think they're pretty much like the pure line, like the one that are considered like top shelf, like in
I
Jewish
didn't know.
society.
I honestly didn't know that there was such a thing as purity in the Jewish race.
What do you think the Black Israelites are? Right?
I thought the Black Israelites were just crazy.
Well, I play a game called Crusader Kings 2, right? And there's places like near the Horn of Africa that a long time ago like had Jewish descent there. Like, and they're black. They're not. They're not like the like sand people or white or whatever. Like what would be considered
sand people. What are we on? Fucking Tatooine? Come on, Jesus, dude, come on.
Middle Eastern.
There
people.
We go.
There we go.
Scale back the pole. Scale back the pole a little bit. I
got to make some cracks for the conservatives out there in the audience.
Oh Jesus fucking Christ!
So. Anyways, yeah, and they claim that they were the first like Jewish people on the planet. Now I don't know if that's the case or not, right? And that's what a lot of the Black Israelites are kind of like, oh, we're the first ones, not you, and you stole our lineage from us, kind of a thing, right? But that's like some ancient history shit that I'm not going to get into. And then it's like what reminded me of when you brought up that comedian from like 30 years ago or something.
Yeah,
was like back then conservative. Like, see, people think conservative ideology. A lot of the young and naive people, they think that, oh, this is going to be a gateway to free speech. And what I want to tell them is, like, you think that, like, they're just saying that now because they want power, right? They're going to say, okay, you see the left, they're trying to ban your shit. Trust me, when they get in full control of everything, they're going to start banning their list of words that are no-nos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to censor shows. They're going to, you know, I remember when like South Park aired and they were going after like Christianity and that concept and like pedophile priests and whatnot. And the church really like pushed these conservative congressmen in that to like get the show banned, you know?
Well, I remember, I remember like that's how Isaac Hayes left the show.
Yeah,
because they went after Scientology.
Scientology. Yeah.
And then I feel what they did to Chef was, I think it was a bit mean. They were also very upset, and you could tell that was they were hurt. You could tell they were hurt. Yeah. So they lashed out, and like they lashed out in a way that was like, holy shit, you know, just clipping together like, I'm gonna make love to your asshole, children. Right.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. Yeah, because they did him dirty for being on that show for as long as he was. You know, like he was one of the characters a lot of people liked. Right.
One of the things was they said like, you know, you have no problem cashing those checks. Right. Like you have no problem cashing those checks. So really, it's like, what the fuck, right? And I get calling it the hypocrisy, but that was one of those things where they never really talk about that scenario. And I would love. I would love to get their insight on it. Like, you know, here it's been, I don't know how many years, it's been 15 years maybe. And then I know Isaac Hayes is long gone and they're still on the air. So it's crazy shit.
Yeah. Cause like, well, the thing with South Park was they weren't afraid to go after like risky things, like, you know, what was considered risky or taboo at the time. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what made their show great. And, you know, a lot of people would look at that show and they would be like, oh, this is a show for mouth breathers. It's for stupid people. And it's like, but really, I mean, like the topics they covered and how they went over it was like really smart, right? Like they were trying to convey complex situations. And what was kind of funny about it was like, you know how like at the end of the episode, like one of the characters, usually Stan, would be like, you know what, this whole thing is fucking stupid. And then you go on a spiel on, you know, like why it's wrong or whatever. So there was like some bit of like intelligence put into that show. That's why I did enjoy that show growing up.
Well, the thing is, the intelligence is still there, and you can tell. Like, what I love about the show now is that Randy has kind of almost become the main character.
Oh, really? I haven't watched it in a long time.
Well, because you know when Trey and Matt started the show, it was the mid '90s. Obviously, like the different personalities of the kids were the main draw, but as they got older. And they became parents, and then they grew up. They started seeing the world through the eyes of Randy versus seeing the world through the eyes of the kids, or at least trying to determine the eyes of the kids. And, you know, so now they started giving Randy a lot more interesting storylines. Like, I mean, I don't like the pot farmer shit. That got old after a while. Cause he opens up a pot farm called Integrity Farms. And then like Towley shows up and it's like, then like they go to China and kill Winnie the Pooh. And it's like, okay. You know, but that was a good episode because I was really calling out the bullshit with China.
Yeah, the hypocrisy of the
hypocrisy.
CCP.
Yeah, of how of their censorship and everything else. Like the NBA won't say a word about it.
Yeah, like you think we have sensitive here and like NA. It's like no. Like when you compare it to most of the rest of the world, it's like things are pretty free. Even in places like Canada, I know they're kind of pushing the hate speech kind of stuff up there, but. The issue is like, I don't know, like, so is like this, the United States is the only country. And I think it's due to the Constitution and their amendment rights that they're able to keep their free speech. Otherwise they'd be just like a bigger Canada is what I think without that. So whatever Americans you do is never get rid of those things. Cause once that happens, it's like guns gone, speech gone. You know what I mean?
It sometimes feels like we're headed down that path.
It might be inevitable.
It might be inevitable. And I don't want to like, you know, like I'm not trying to cause a panic or be like, you know, put a tinfoil hat on or nothing. But you look at the way that these companies are operating, and these companies like Facebook and Twitter that are regulating speech in the way that they are. I ask myself like, well, what's going to be the end game here? Because as much as I revile the speech that like Fuentes puts out there, and even the stuff that Ralph says,
yeah,
it's like they still have a right to say it, but then the company, the corporation, which is now viewed as a person by the government, then has a right to not have what they want, to not have it on their platform. So then we start really breaking it down into that category about, capitalism and where it stands. And then it's like, but we also know that when it comes to dealing with social justice warriors, you never capitulate to them because it's never enough. It's never enough. Like you could bend over backwards until the end of time.
You give them an inch, they want a foot. You give them a foot, they want a meter. And
I mean, and it doesn't, and it's not just them. It's like literally I'm not saying like don't apologize if you make mistakes, but there are people out there that it doesn't matter what you say. They will always believe the worst about you, and they'll never allow you that opportunity. And it almost, social media is very similar to that, where like Sargon had a really good point about when he was deplatformed from, I think either Twitter or Patreon, where he was talking about like, why wasn't I given a warning? Oh no, it was Patreon. It's like, why wasn't I given a warning about this? Why wasn't I talked to about this? And it's like that's a fair, accurate point.
Yeah, they should make some sort of because like it's like when you're about to get canned. Well, no, I guess if you're canned, they just kind of can you. But usually they try to give you notice if you're going to get like laid off or something like that. So it would be nice if companies would at least give like a month's head up and be like, look, you're on our problem list, right? And we're going to have to remove you. So you have a month to collect your funds and figure something out, right? And the same thing on websites like Twitch or YouTube, where monetization just kind of out of nowhere for no reason just kind of gets cut and it's unexpected. That could put people in a bad spot, like financially. Yeah, and I think there needs to be a little regulation.
It'd be good. I agree. I think they should give people time if they are going to do that. And I think Patreon is right now kind of in that moment where they're going to have to deal with that lawsuit that's going on, that class action.
Yeah.
But then also look at someone like Medicare, who Medicare apparently lost like $4,000. He had like, they were supposed to pay him like this is what he was saying, is that they're supposed to pay him like $4,000. And then when he lost his monetization on YouTube, they kept the $4,000.
Yeah. I remember hearing that.
And I'm like, for one, fuck, like I've never heard of that happening.
Yeah.
And if it was rectified, because
I think it was. It was. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't follow Medicare. I don't subscribe.
Yeah,
to
I got
clearly there's reasons.
Sure,
and but it's at the same time, I found that to be an interesting scenario because I'm like, wait, if they can keep your money, holy fucking shit. Like that seems like it's illegal.
What I think it was I think this is like a pre or an after ripple effect from the heel stream, because they had to return money to the people that paid. Like they didn't want to facilitate. So maybe you have a character.
But YouTube was making no money off of that, by the way. Like YouTube made those. It was a super chat for good. But I will say this though, I do think the heel stream is the reason why they killed the super chat for good program.
Yeah. Well, that's what people were using because like after the monetization, the adpocalypse or whatever you want to call it happened, people started moving to streaming, right? And collecting super chats that way because they weren't getting monetized anymore. So it was like the new medium to make money on, right? That's what I saw.
Well, and then but the super chats for good, that was a different scenario because that was literally you had to when you did
it's
it,
like tax exempt kind of thing,
well,
right?
But you don't keep it. None of that money goes to you. So what happens is when you go, I want to do a super chat for good stream, you tell it, you literally go into a database and you type in the nonprofit, the 501c3 that you want. And you go, I want this one. So it was like St. Jude is a 501c3. So they would click that. And then that money would then be transferred into an account for St. Jude, or actually, no, it's sent as a check. Because when I did it, and after the heel stream, I did my charity stream and I had done the super chat for good. And they received a check a month later. So, there was that at the time. They sent the checks out. And then they got rid of it. And I still don't know why. It's like people have tried to do it. I've seen people run charity streams where they're like, they get the super chats that come on in and they go, well, I will match the extra 30% myself that I need to pay into to make sure your donation goes to this. And I'm like, that doesn't make it. See, that to me seems like a scam because
for sure.
No, because here, so there's a guy, and I'm not accusing anyone, but like I kind of, I'm a little bit, I want more data before I really believe it. But when Peter Mayhew died, Chewbacca actor. There's a
Okay.
channel named Nerdrotic, and he did a live stream raising money for the Peter Mayhew Foundation. Now, I donated $10 to him through Super Chats, and I was asking him, like, wait, why isn't the Super Chat for good? And I didn't know that it was gone at the time. And so sometime last year, I was thinking about it again, and I'm like, did he ever really donate that money? Because he was saying, he's like, look, you give me the money,
And I'll do the legwork. Yeah.
I'll do the legwork, I'll donate it, but I'll also, like, I'm going to add the 30% in that they take. So he'll add the extra money that they take.
Yeah,
out of his
to
own
make
pocket,
it square. Yeah.
To make it square, which, okay, fine, cool. But I'm like, dude, still, that's going to cost you like a lot of fucking money. That's going to cost you personally a lot of money. But it's not only that, it's a double strike, because your channel is tied to your social security number. Your monetization is tied to your social security number, meaning that then that income that you earned from that stream is then tied to your social. You have to pay the 25% on top of that you would have to roughly pay in taxes. So you're paying like a lot of extra money at the end of the day. And then he only donated like $500 from what he showed me, because I did ask him about it. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you made more than 500, but I'd have to go back and like rewatch the stream and then count all the super chats.
Yeah,
and
calculate it.
I'm not looking to like attack him, but it's like there were so many red flags for me that I don't know if it was ineptitude or if it was malicious.
Yeah, that's a sketchy way to handle it. Like there's so many third-party companies that would be willing to do that, and they would take like a small cut. Like, why not just do it that route? You know?
Yeah, I think they should bring back the super chats for good. I think we get a lot more charity stuff out of that. I'd probably do more charity stuff, because then after a while it just becomes like, if you're giving the money to somebody to manage themselves, it just opens up the door for fraud. You know,
yeah, because like they could play it, they could play it really stupid and kind of get off on it. You know, like they'll get it, like if it went to court, I'm just an imbecile. You know,
yeah,
and
like I just made a mistake, and it's like it's not like I'm representing this. You know,
in the event they got caught,
yeah,
and then they'd be like, I'll pay it back, I promise.
Exactly.
But if they don't, then they get to keep it, right? So,
and then that's the thing with that is, though, it's only if people then ask the questions and look into it, right? So like that ends up being another factor. So it's one of those weird things where you end up, you know, it becomes so much of a mess that the simplification process YouTube used was perfect, but they ended up just killing it because they're, I don't know, stupid.
Maybe what that was like a temporary dry run to see how it worked, and then YouTube would just said, fuck it, it's too much headache, too much management. Like, it's just easier not to do that.
Okay.
And just go the regular route, because at least the regular route, like they're making a cut out of it, right? But,
yeah.
And this is like what I mean by this is why I don't think YouTube's like politically leaning at all. I think that they're just trying to make money and appease people that are willing to do advertisement campaigns on their website, you know, like Target or something like that, for example, being like, yeah, I want a $5 million YouTube ad campaign, right? And the places that they're going to target, because they're doing targeted ads now, right? So it's more fleshed out, it's more in depth than it used to be, like, you know, 3 years ago. So what I think happens is, like, they work out a contract, and in that contract, like, they're basically allowed to pick and choose where they kind of want their ads to go.
Yeah.
And what I think might happen in the future, this is all just, you know, like off the top, like speculation, is that I do think YouTube does want to help out conservative content creators or people that would deem, like, you know, risky content for smaller advertisement campaigns that, you know, like, because there's companies, you know, like maybe Ridge Wallet, like they're kind of a startup. They probably have a better budget than they did when they started, but there's a lot of startup companies and they can't afford millions of dollars. So if they're like, hey, you know, I can give you like 50 grand. I don't care where you place my ad, as long as people are watching it, I don't care. Right.
Yeah. And some places are like that. Some places,
that.
I think Ridge Wallet actually reached out to me about a sponsorship. I just don't know what it was about, like, or what it was in relation to. It was one of those like spam emails, and I'm like, I don't know. I've actually, like, I get a few of those occasionally, and I'm just like, have you guys not seen this channel? Like, do you not fucking look at the analytics? Like, it's fucking dead. You know, like, what are you doing? But well, I mean, I actually have to run. I have to run because there was a situation with I heard a crash out back. I need to go check on that. So I don't know what happened with that. Yeah, thank you for coming on in, dude. Appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, sure. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. All right, I did see we just got the third man. I don't know who it is. I have to run. I'm sorry. So we'll, you know, I'll probably be on tomorrow night. check back then. In the meantime, everyone, thank you very much for coming by. I don't know what happened. There was some crash out back. I have to go take a look at it. Probably nothing, probably just something falling over in my shed, but you know how it goes. Anyway, if I don't come back tomorrow, then something out there slaughtered me, killed me, and ate my corpse, and my haters will be happy. But my last words to you all, if I were to die, are, you know what? Fucking avenge me.